So word around town is that some of y'all are ready to start courting or thinking about courting. My question to you is, are you ready? Is your mind prepared for it? Are you sure? Well, if not, by the end of today's video, you will be. So how can I prepare my mind for courting? Is it just me going into it, winging it? Is there some type of preparation? Are there certain things I need to keep in mind before I even consider courting? Yes and yes. And today we're going to get into that. Without further ado, let's get started. Number one, if you think that you're ready to start courting, you need to make sure that you have some self-awareness. Okay? You need to truly know yourself. You need to have what's called insight when it comes to your emotions, your triggers. You need to be able to be accountable for your actions. I know this is going to step on a lot of toes, especially us as sisters, because a lot of us do not like accountability. A lot of us do not like to be held accountable for our actions because a lot of us feel shame for some of the decisions that we've made. But you cannot go into courtship without having some level of accountability. You are going to have different types of trials and obstacles you're going to have to overcome when you are courting and or married, and you need to make sure that you are emotionally in the right mindset to handle that, okay? Because these little trials are only tests for the big trials when they come. And if you can't handle these little things now, if you can't hold yourself accountable for these little big things now, oh, you could just hang marriage up, honey. Make sure that you are emotionally stable and ready to invest in this courtship, because it's not always going to be peaches and cream. You're going to have your good days, yes, but you're also going to have those trying days as well. And you also need to know what you want for a partner. Understand what you want in terms of values and goals and beliefs. What are those things that you truly want in a partner? Because if you don't have an understanding of what it is that you're looking for, you'll settle for anything that just looks good, decked in a six-pack and a certain height. Like, you need to understand what it is that you're looking for. Sit down, make a list, and write some of your negotiables, your non-negotiables, and things that are truly important to you. Things that you can handle, you can tolerate, but things that are absolutely no-go. And when you meet that person, make sure when those times come, you revisit that list. Don't set unrealistic expectations for yourself. Come on, like if he's not making six figures, oh, he's automatically out the question. No, be realistic, but also be smart, because sometimes red flags start looking like six flags when you feel a little in love. Okay, a lot of y'all like to look over certain things and think, oh, maybe they'll change. Oh, it's nothing. No it's something. And you also have to be confident in your personal growth as well. Granted, we all have different goals for ourselves. I might not be where I want to be emotionally right now, or mentally, or financially, but I feel as if where I am right now is sufficient to begin this new journey. I know mentally I am capable of having those tough conversations. I know financially I am stable. I'm not just splurging my money on any old thing. I know spiritually I'm taking the time out to study my chapters. I'm praying. You know, be confident in where you are. Of course, grow every single day, challenge and push yourself, but be confident that where you are is sufficient to start as well. Because if you're not ready mentally, emotionally, or anything like that, then you shouldn't consider courting yet. Number two, you need to make sure that you understand the purpose of courting. Like, this isn't casual dating. I know in the world it's like you meet someone and you guys hook up, you know, you just go out, do whatever, and think you're automatically gonna probably sleep with this person. This isn't what courting is. Not according to the Bible. This is not what we do. When it comes to courting, we are intentional with what we do, okay? We want to see if this person is possibly someone that we can see ourselves spending the rest of our life with. That's the purpose of courting. We ask all the questions, all the uncomfortable questions. We are intentional with the questions, and we watch to make sure that what you say lines up with what you do, all for the purpose of marriage. And there also comes the other side of the coin in realizing that this person might not be the person for me. And you realize that with certain conversations. Maybe you truly don't see this person's leadership as something that you can follow, or maybe you might think that maybe the Most High might show you this person has a temper or just has things that they need to work on that you don't feel comfortable being with in the long term at this point. And it's okay. It's okay for courtships to not be successful. That's the purpose of it. You guys spend time together now, getting to know all the nitty-gritty, all the uncomfortable things, to see if you're compatible for the long term. And if you're not, then that's okay. You live, you learn, and you move on. And honestly, the next point I could honestly say adds on to this one as well, but discussing realistic goals and expectations. I know a lot of people in this modern age don't like the whole traditional roles thing, gender roles and all, to each his own, but in here we have our gender roles, we stick with it, and that's what works for us. But when you're courting, you need to talk those things out from beforehand. What is it that you expect me to be doing? Do you expect me to cook, or do you want to cook? Are we both going to be working? Do you want me to stay home and raise the kid? Like, it's so many discussions that you have to have beforehand. You can't just think, okay, this is how it's gonna be and go in it and just, no, like, you have to make sure that you're both on the same page. You literally have to. Don't go in assuming anything. And you also have to keep in mind, you two grew up in two different houses. So you both are coming from two total different walks of life, trying to make one union. How this person grew up might have been different from how you grew up. And this person might want to carry into their marriage certain traditions and values that they've done. And are you going to be okay with that? Are those traditions something that you believe in spiritually? Are those values things that you would want your child to value as they grow up as well? Like, you have to have those conversations. The next point is communication skills. Like, if you want to be courting an individual, you have to make sure that your communication skills are up to par. Listen, since I've been married, it's been nothing but communication. There have been so many instances where as much as I've wanted to touch on certain things, part of me just said, you know what, it's not even worth it. It's not gonna matter down the line. It's not gonna matter tomorrow. Leave it alone. Like I always say, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. You gotta learn how to bite your tongue sometimes. You gotta learn that not every action requires a reaction from you. You gotta learn sometimes you gotta have those uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes you gotta address the elephant in the room. Like, there's so much to it. Sometimes you gotta be able to listen to some criticism and not wanna snap back because it's not what you wanna hear. Did you get me? Sometimes you're gonna have to close that gap. And just listen. And just listen, sis. Is winning the argument more important than you both coming together at the end of the day on the same page and loving each other? No, winning is never that important. Like, if we have to agree to disagree, then that's fine. But I'm not gonna go tit for tat or tit for tat. I think that's the saying on something, just to make a point. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You need to prepare yourself now with your friends. You can practice active listening. Don't be so quick to just want to respond and get your point out. No, actively listen. Don't just listen to respond. Listen to understand. Let it compute in that little head, and then get your response out. It takes a lot of practice. Even for me, to this day, there's a lot of practice. Sometimes you just want to spew out what comes to your head. No, you got to stop and pause and then speak. Next, you also want to make sure that you have a strong support system. This could be your parents, yes. This could be a trusted friend. This could be a counselor. For me, it was my parents, and it was also some of the people at my religious organization, Israel United in Christ. We had leadership men that we could speak to, some of the deacons and the deacons' wives. I had one of the deacons' wives I could speak to about certain things, because I would call her and have so many questions like, oh, what do you think about this? Oh, like, me and her were like this, because sometimes I just want to make sure I'm in the right spirit, because I know I can be a little emotional sometimes, and just hearing someone else's perspective on something would save me a lot of trouble, just to make sure I'm, not overreacting. So it's good to have a strong support system, and people that actually believe what you believe. They're not just gonna say, oh yeah, girl, you right. Like, no, I need people that are not afraid to tell me that I'm wrong. People that aren't afraid to tell you, listen, I understand what you're saying, I get it, but you were wrong in saying that. You should have done things differently, and you need to apologize. You don't have a lot of people like that. And when you do, you gotta hold on to them. And the last point that I will say is just a readiness to share life with someone else. Almost like a funeral to yourself, because it's no longer about just you. It's now me considering this person in all aspects, in my financial decisions, in his opinions on certain things when I go out, when it comes to eat. Like it's so many things. It's no longer just about you. You consider a new person now. And you understand that part of a successful courtship is teamwork. You know, you both working together. I know some people do long distance courting, and I know that must be a little bit difficult because you aren't able to physically see that person as often as you'd like. But if the two of you make combined efforts to see each other, or make courting online a little bit more interesting by being intentional with how you go about doing things, I think that can make a whole difference as well. And actually, I'm going to make the last point, just, you know, financial stability. Make sure that you are stable in your finances. You're not just splurging on any old thing. Be intentional with how you save. Save for rainy days, save for emergency fund, save for different activities you might want to do in the future, but don't feel as if you need to spend your money on just foolishness. Like, no, be smart, because finances play a big part when it comes to marriages. But yeah, guys, I think one of the best ways that you guys can implement these things is, in a sense, not in a weird way, but practicing with those around you and your families. Like, you can practice actively listening to your sister or your parent when they're talking. Yeah, your parent might be reprimanding you. Instead of you just ready to answer back, just listen. Take a step back and actually listen to what your parent is saying. I'm sure what they're saying is making a lot of sense. You might not want to hear it in that moment, but this is good practice for you for when your significant other might be speaking with you on something you also don't want to hear about. But at least you'll have the understanding to, instead of just lash out, to actively listen before you respond. You can practice even doing special things for your friends or your siblings, taking them out. You know, you can practice these principles in a way with those around you. You can. But yes, those are all the tips that I have for you guys today. These are some key things that I kept in mind before I considered proving, and I really think that these tips can help you as you prepare your mind for the possibility of courting one day in the future as well. If you have I'm sorry, if I might have missed anything, I ask that you guys leave it down in the comments below. You know, let's add more tips. I don't know everything. Maybe there's more tips that other people may have experienced that have helped them on their journey as well. I'm always looking to grow myself, y'all. I share what I learned, what I've been through, but I want y'all to share and help each other as well. Like, let's be a community of sisters, just helping each other out. Check out my last video if you haven't already, guys. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, share it. Girl, send it to your friend. You know she needs to hear it. What are you waiting for? I'll see you guys in the next one. Shalom.